Hi, yogis. Lily Markle here. Thank you for tuning in today for our yin practice for freedom in the upper body and spine. We'll dive right in. So find yourself in a comfortable seat. Rest your hands in your lap as they fall and slowly close the eyes. Let the quiet in. Creating space in the abdomen. Feel some lengthening in the sides of the body and lengthening up through the top of the head to create space in the neck and in the mind, sinking into that seat of ease, an easy seat, Sukhasana. And allow your awareness to naturally fall or consciously fall onto the breath as it flows in through nose, throat, lungs, and then back out through the lungs, throat, nose, or mouth. In your own time without changing or fixing, just breathing the body itself. And notice as you create a little more space upward, the volume of breath may increase as well, allowing fuller, deeper breaths into that space. Inviting a visualization just briefly of the beautiful image of the horizon line where the sky meets the ocean. And that soft, endless line. Allow your eyes to sink into that line. Allow your jaw and tongue and base of the throat to sink into that horizontal line. Allow your diaphragm and the middle upper abdomen, that breathing muscle, to sink into that horizontal line. And then feeling that sinking in the lower pelvis, the pelvic floor. And notice how your breath increases still in volume as you allow yourself to widen like this never-ending, soft horizon line. And we'll begin to slowly, in the near future, open your eyes, taking in the room around you. We'll move into our yin practice with a gentle neck stretch, bringing the right ear to the right shoulder. And then your right hand will gently fall onto the left ear. So the weight of the hand and gravity initiates an elongation of the left side of the neck. Feel your breath deeply from low abdomen up to the collarbones. The lungs do reach up to the clavicle here. Even though we say we can breathe and affect the whole body, we can actually breathe all the way up to the top of our torso, into the lungs. It might be quite intense sensation at first. And if you'd like to find a deeper sensation, you're welcome to explore an extension of that left arm out and then eventually downward. So there's a little bit of energy in that stretch, but still quite effortless. Breathe into that. You might close the eyes and invite the quiet into the mind again. Perhaps lowering the chin towards the chest, finding a different placement of the hand on the head. Find moving it towards the back of the head allows a different sensation. So after a bit of time, the body starts to open, the fascia starts to be affected by the hold. So we find the areas where sensation is a little more intense. We find our edge of sensation where we can stay, but seems like it's bordering discomfort or intensity. And then you can release that left hand back on your lap. And with your right hand, I'd like you to place it against your right side of the head. And then use your hand to gently push your head back upright into a central position. It's so lovely to not have to engage those muscles, the very muscles we just worked to release, just to use the hand to support the weight of the head. Already, I can feel that one side is more spacious and open, so we'll balance it out and move into the other side. When you're ready, left ear drops toward the left shoulder. And pause. Notice any asymmetries before moving that left hand to opposite ear, the right ear. Breathe a couple rounds in your own time before feeling an exploration in that right arm out and slightly down. Inviting that softness of the horizon line. Inviting the quiet, the stillness, and whatever arises from that stillness. When we slow the body down, this tends to be the time when our mind starts to let off steam or continues to let off steam, perhaps exploring a different position of the head, exploring variations in this stretch. Feel free to allow yourself to witness and observe these thought waves or mind waves, mind letting off steam in this quiet stillness. You might even start to unpack them, and that's absolutely okay. However, if you feel that you're dedicating a little too much time or energy to unpacking whatever bubbles up and arises, perhaps once in a while we can remind ourselves to come back to the breath. This is the practice of yin, practice of presence. And in the near future, when it feels right, using your left hand against the left side of your face, very gently press your head upright. I just gave myself an adjustment, and then just take a moment to feel the difference, the spaciousness. Opening the arms out wide. We'll take now our right arm under the left arm, crossing at the elbows, and then bend your elbows. If you can place the backs of the hands or the palms together to touch, feel free. Otherwise, grabbing hold of opposite shoulders is a nice variation. And you'll start to feel as you draw your elbows farther forward, move into a sideways position so you can see elbows moving away from the body. This is the bind. We feel sensation in the traps, the tops of the shoulders, between the shoulders and the earlobes. Cow face or Gomukhasana arms. Beautiful opening posture for areas in the body that can always feel tight. You can feel that there's an endless weight on our shoulders of the universe. just weighing on us and rapidly increasing decision making and information overload. It takes a little bit of time to slow down and remembering to come home, to feel whole again. Yin practice helps us to do so. We'll go inward and quiet the mind by lowering chin to the chest, softening the forehead toward the heart, and perhaps enjoying some movement of the neck and the head from side to side, ever so slowly, exploring and perhaps holding and breathing where you feel you need a little extra love and attention. And we'll allow the body to unravel itself, interlacing the fingers behind your back, and see how much you can extend the arms behind you, feeling a nice counter opening in the front body. Just a moment here. We'll explore some nice shoulder opening a little bit later. So we'll move on to the second side, opening your arms out nice and wide, and this time taking the left arm underneath the right, bending the elbows, and find your bind, either backs of the hands or palms touching. You can also clasp the shoulders, moving the elbows farther away from your chest, and then exploring a direction either up or down to explore sensation in those traps in the upper back. Breathing through nose, throat, lungs, releasing the lungs, throat, nose, or mouth. And offer to breathe out of the mouth whenever you feel tension building into the jaw or the facial muscles. Let out a sigh to help release excess tension. Exploring this sort of releasing of the chin down toward the chest. And any side to side of the neck position you'd like to explore, inviting breath into those areas that need it the most. And be kind and gentle, patient with yourself. And then allowing the body to unravel itself. Once again, clasping the hands, take the opposite finger, pinky finger on the outside, the way that feels less habitual and a little bit awkward, and extend those arms behind you, feeling that spaciousness across the front of the chest, perhaps even tilting the chin upward slightly. A nice throat chakra opener, and then allow that to release as well. Now we're going to move down into the triceps, the back of the upper arms here, an area that tends to be quite tight in many of us, even though we don't feel like we use it all that much. We actually do. So you'll extend your right arm out to the side and up overhead, bend the elbow, and with your left hand, hook the elbow and pull it a little closer to the midline. If you can, even send your arm further behind the head, and then lovingly press the back of the head into the upper arm. It's okay, it's not needed to do so. And this might be your first base where you stay. Closing the eyes, inviting quiet in, softening the face, diaphragm, and pelvic floor. And if you'd like to explore a little further, you could reach for a strap or a scarf. Maybe pause the video and gather a prop that might give you a little bit of extra reach. If you can't quite reach for your fingertips, then holding the strap in the top arm and finding it with the opposite hand is a nice option to open both arms and shoulders here. Otherwise, if you can clasp the fingers, feel free or remain in that first base position. Tuning into the breath once again. Noticing sensation as it arises, as it develops, as it dissolves. And notice those fluffy clouds of your mind waves rising up and passing away, passing across that vast sky of your mind. Choosing what to unpack in any given moment, or choosing to remain in that spacious silence, quiet, and releasing, allowing the body to unravel itself. Noticing any flows of chi or energy, prana. It's totally natural to feel any kind of tingling as we are moving the fascia and by effect moving some blood flow. We're moving lymph and synovial fluid through the body. So I'm feeling this sort of electricity tingling down my whole arm. We'll do that on the other side to balance out. Left arm up and overhead. Bend the elbow with your fingers dangling down toward your tailbone. And with that other hand, lovingly guide your hand and elbow closer towards the midline and slightly behind the head so that we can use the head to press into the arm, allowing a deeper stretch. But we're also using the arm to, I'll show you what's happening with the back of my head. A lot of us tend to live in this sort of, you can see my chin jutting forward. And by allowing a little bit of pressure behind the back of the head, something to resist into, it allows our neck to strengthen and actually realign on top of the spine as it's meant to be. So staying here in your first base, or deciding whether or not you'd like to venture further into the full bind in our Gomukhasana cow face arms. Using any props as you need, closing the eyes, finding that horizon line and sinking in. And affirmation can be quite helpful in these longer held poses, a quieter practice. Lately I've been working with the affirmation peace, rest, fills me completely. Quiet, peace, and rest fills me completely. Allowing the body to unwind, noticing any flows of energy, any sensation. Now we'll come onto all fours. So you can remove your pillow or prop off to the side. And then moving into a tabletop, hands and knees. Have a block or your pillow or bolster nearby, maybe even a folded blanket. And that will be our support as we move into some more freedom in the back part of the body now. So just exploring on hands and knees, pad up under the knees as you need to. Move the spine intuitively. If you like to find a cat-cow, inhale into the upper back as you round the spine. Exhale as you open the chest and heart rises forward and up. Play with different variations of the breath. You could inhale or exhale into the back. And do the opposite as you open up the front of the body. And perhaps the movement becomes a little more side to side as you circle the spine, rounding and arching the back. You could roll sideways with the hips, become sort of a barrel roll, or cleaning out the inside of a tube or a straw. Let your head move intuitively in relation to the spine. Let it be free, the neck. Good. And then we're just simply going to thread our left shoulder underneath the chest, sliding that left arm directly out to the side and placing your head. This is where a block comes in handy, or a folded blanket. Placing that left side of your head on the block and using your right hand just beside the face as a little support and resistance in and down into the floor at first to create space and length in the neck. So for me here, it feels a little bit better relationally between the head and the spine to come onto more of the back upper part of my head rather than the ear. And that creates some length in the back of the neck. Using that hand that's pressing into the floor to allow you to rotate a little bit more towards the back of you. And then adjusting, shimmying your shoulder that's on the ground and that arm a little further away from you. So we're deepening that twist. Finding maximum space in that left side of the upper back and shoulder. And resting in that space of ease. And just a little bit of effort, mostly ease. Might feel more supportive to take your knees wider, bring your feet together. And if there's any crunching happening in that right shoulder, you might just allow that right arm to explore movement and freedom here, maybe wrapping that right hand behind your back or resting the hand on your sacrum or even taking it overhead. Just find what feels freeing in the moment. Closing the eyes. Inviting that quiet in once again. Inviting a full volume of breath from the low belly, the lungs, all the way up to the upper part of the shoulder blades. Relaxing the face and jaw. Just letting yourself sink into the shape and the sensation. And in the near future, in the next breath or two, slowly replace that right hand back to the floor, gently pressing into that hand to lift slowly up to that tabletop. Moving back towards a child's pose and freeing the neck a little bit here. Before we transition to the other side, coming back onto all fours and then slowly thread the right shoulder under you, turning that right cheek and back of the head onto your prop. You may not need a prop. And taking care to press that left palm into the mat beside the face. Settle here for a moment before making further adjustments. Just thinking about creating more space in the upper part of the spine, shoulder blades, and the back of the neck. And let the waves of your breath guide you into deeper or lesser sensation. And let it guide you into space of ease. Continually rolling back towards the back body. Softening the face, the belly. And in the near future, the next breath or two, you can press into your left palm and return back to the hands and knees. This time finding a full child's pose. So knees wide, big toes together, using any props you need to elevate your belly or your chest as you fold forward, lengthening the spine. Letting go of effort completely. When you're ready, slide the hands back towards your shoulders, pressing yourself up. We'll come to lay belly down. And we'll take a little bit of movement at first to bring some heat and activation into the upper back. So find a cactus or goalpost arm. Elbows wide, fingers pointing up towards your face. Press into the tops of the feet. The knees might even float off the floor. As you inhale, see if you can lift the elbows and hands and a little bit of the chest away from the mat, keeping that length in the back of the neck. Exhale, slowly lower down. Press the forehead into the mat. Two more. Inhale, lift. Finding length from your big toes through to the crown of the head. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift. And exhale, release. Now we'll come into frog pose just to get into the hips a little bit. So you'll come up onto your forearms first and start to bend your right knee out to the side. Either the knee is in line with the hip or a little higher. You can either stay here on your elbows. This might feel like there's enough sensation, especially in the low back. And we're starting to open across the front of the shoulders and chest. And see how that feels. Your legs are completely heavy and relaxed. Your belly is soft. If it feels like there's too much work happening in the arms or the upper body, you could bring that folded blanket or bolster or pillow under the rib cage and slide your elbows in front of that pillow. That's quite nice support. And more of a restorative posture. See how it feels here for a couple rounds of breath. Could explore different positions of the head for sensation in the neck, continued release. If you're looking to deepen your sensation here as we start to work through more fascia, you can remove the prop under your belly and maybe start to come up a little higher with straight elbows or working towards straight. My elbows are a little bent. I've got quite long arms. So too much lift could compress the low back a little bit too much. And you'll feel where your edge is. You want to feel that there's some compression, a little bit of sensation in the low back. So we're affecting the fascia, the tissues, by bringing some restriction first, and the release will allow that release of tension and blood flow into the low back area. So many of us, in fact, over 30 million North Americans suffer from low back pain. That's about the population of Canada. Usually the reason has to do with our sedentary lifestyle, sitting improperly, not taking active rest breaks. And you might allow a little more space along that left side of the body to come onto your elbows and walk the forearms closer to that bent knee. And see if you can look down and see your feet to continue lengthening along that whole left side chain. Remember, creating space along the sides of the body allows for deeper volume, greater volume in our breath capacity. Deeper breathing can mean better circulation, lower stress levels, better digestion. There's so many benefits to conscious deep breathing. We're activating this state of peristalsis in our nervous system, which promotes deeper healing, deeper rest, and greater balance overall. Could release the head, let it heavy toward the floor. Just another round or two of breath. And in your own time, making your way back to center. First coming down onto the belly, resting your head on your stacked palms. Elbows can go wide. And then release that right leg and extend it alongside its neighbor. You could shimmy the hips a little bit to release that low back. And enjoy the sensation here in our little rebound pose. You could turn the head or keep the neck in neutral. When you're ready, moving back up onto forearms and then sending your left knee directly out to the side or a little higher than hip height. Deciding whether you need support and how much. Enjoying the props that are around you in your space. I like to start a little easy and then work up to intensity. For others, they like the opposite. You just don't want to jar the body, and you want to create not so much a state of effort, but more so ease. As if you're just floating effortlessly from one shape to the next, intuitively listening to sensations that arise, responding with intention, and allowing any thoughts, any feelings or emotions that want to rise up into your awareness, into that vast sky of your mind. Welcome them with kindness and patience and acceptance. This beautiful quality we have in our mind to think. These qualities in our personality, the sensitivities in our behavior, in our nature. We should not berate ourselves for our nature, for being human, but rather celebrate the complexities in which we're able to feel and think. As long as we give ourselves the space, you can come up a little higher if you wish, straightening the arms for that compression in the low back, relaxing the glutes and the legs, giving ourselves space and reminding ourselves to come home so that we may unpack all of these complex vrittis, we say in Sanskrit, or mind stuff, the chatter, the judgments, the memories. You could even sink into the shoulder girdle a little bit and let your shoulder blades come together for a nice massage into those little muscles between the shoulder blades and the tissues that hold so much weight. Even letting the head droop toward the floor lovingly. If it feels right, you could come down to the elbows and walk over towards that bent knee side, looking down toward your feet for the length along the whole right side body. Full breaths. Create ease and openness in the body. Coming back to your affirmation, if you like, stillness, peace, fills me completely. Quiet, peace, and rest fills me completely. And in the next breath or two in the near future, slowly make your way back to center, lower onto your Belly, stacked palms, rest your head, and then release. Your left knee and leg extends. Give your hips a little wiggle side to side to release the low back. Resting in stillness for a moment. Nice opportunity if you have your stacked palms. Rest your brow across the backs of your hand. And then very slowly you can rotate the head, giving a little pressure into your brow to give a massage to the mind and any tension in the forehead. When you're ready, actually we'll stay on our belly for this next shape and find your cactus or goalpost arms again. Have your pillow, blanket, or block handy. And now we'll move into the front body again, opening across the chest. So starting with your left hand, you'll press into that left palm, right beside your shoulder, bending your left knee so the foot points up toward the ceiling. And we're going to rotate, keeping your right elbow bent and right arm exactly as it is. Turning your head towards your left hand, rotate onto your right side body. And already we feel that sensation there. If your left foot can touch the floor, that's great. For some of us, it's difficult to find the floor. So you might come back, add a prop, a pillow beside you alongside your right side body. And then return to the shape. You'll have a little step on which you can rest that left foot. You might add a little elevation under your head if the neck feels too crunched. We want to feel that spaciousness in the neck and between the right ear and the right shoulder, definitely across the front of the chest, the pectoralis. The pectoral muscles are these huge muscles along the front of the chest and shoulder that connect to our grief points and tend to be some of the tighter muscles in the body that, as they tighten, they promote these shoulders that we have to round forward in our slouching posture, which then weakens the upper back and just creates a cycle of tension, weakness, tightness, discomfort in the upper body. So this one is such a gem. If you can practice it a couple times a week, you will feel so much more freedom. You'll notice the body starts to unravel gradually. So using the breath intentionally, guide yourself into a deeper shape, staying in that space of effortlessness or ease. After your next breath out, gently come to roll onto your belly. Remove any props under your head. And then turn your head over your right shoulder now for a little counter pose. Feel any sensation that's flowing down your right arm, pooling around the right shoulder and right pectoral muscle. We'll move into the other side. So if you did find that pillow, block, or blanket handy along your right side, find it on your left and a blanket under your head if you need. Cactus arms. Now we press into our right palm, right beside the shoulder. Gently, we bend our right knee and then start to rotate onto your left side without changing the shape of your left arm. You might even create some space by walking your elbow further away from you. But try not to change that perpendicular 90-degree angle shape. That will promote the deepest stretch in that pec muscle there. So you may not need any props on this side. Some of us are naturally more open on one side versus the other, or maybe our spines rotate more easily in one direction. So just find a space where you feel that edge of sensation. And then sink into the horizon line. That soft boundary, yet boundaryless line. Between the sky and the ocean. Soft in the face and jaw. Curious about sensation, but unattached to the meaning of it or the reason for it. Just aware of quality of sensation as it develops, sustains, dissolves, or moves. And another couple breath rounds here after your second exhale. Let the body unravel itself onto your belly. Turning the head to the left for that rebound. You could take your arms down by your sides this time. And feel any flows of energy or chi. In the near future, make your way into that child's pose. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Wide knees, using props or not. And just abide in that open, spacious quality. Allow your hands to press you upright. Take a moment to sit tall, as we've just spent a lot of time horizontal, just letting the blood settle down. Our final pose will be a forward fold. So if you know you have a particularly tight low back or hamstrings, recommend sitting up on a blanket, folded blanket, or a small flat pillow. And we'll move into a butterfly shape. So the soles of the feet together, the knees open wide, up to you as far as how close your feet are to your hips. For me, I find that the farther away my feet are, the more I feel the stretch in my back, which is feeling a little more tight for me these days than the hamstrings. However, if you'd like to feel this more in the hips and the low body, the legs, bring the feet closer to you, or happy medium between the two. And I start this yin shape usually with a bolster and sometimes even propped up on a block or a stack of pillows. So your stack of pillows will be closer to you, sort of in that diamond shape between your feet and your pelvis. Your bolster or heavier pillow will be on an angle pointing upwards towards your face. We'll just use that to allow a hug, a good hug, and resting the upper part of the chest or our grief points here, just inside the shoulders, and allow the upper body to round forward into our fold. So the forehead is relaxed. And if you feel limited sensation, you could remove a level of the prop, a layer of your props, and see how the body does, just sinking in, surrendering into this forward fold, rounding the upper back. Having something under the head, maybe it's not so much the bolster, but a block under the forehead can be quite nice. And once again, you get a massage along the brow. The forward fold promotes a quieter mind. We're also affecting some energy lines or meridians along the outer legs, outer hips, as well as the inner leg lines, the inner thighs, which are really big energy lines connected to some vital organs. And once again, we're nourishing with even more oxygen, even more blood flow to the organs, to the tissues that encase them. Affecting every cell in the body through this subtle movement of prana, of energy, of our life force throughout these channels of energy, allowing any bit of stuckness to be unpacked. Allowing the mind to let off steam. And allowing space in the body to return home. reminding us of our true nature, of this calm, spacious awareness of all things that are coming and going, unattached to whatever arises and dissolves. Just moving with the breath like a swell of the wave. And watching as that also dissolves and becomes still once again. Being with yourself in each experience as it unfolds. Just as you are, just as it is. And in the near future, when it feels right, using your hands only, no muscular effort, to press yourself into an upright seat, walking the hands up the legs, extending one leg at a time, and slowly make your way into the final rest, Shavasana. Option to prop something under the backs of the knees to support low back. Cover yourself with a blanket. Add support under your head. Create some space for going into that deep rest. Take up space. Feel your strong back and its connection to the earth. Sinking into this earth's softness, being held by it. Experiencing this openness, this freedom we've created in ourselves. You may stay here as long as you need. In this vast, spacious stillness. Whenever you're ready, I invite some deeper breath into the body, inviting tiny movements that become larger movements. Coming back into an awake and alert space. And as it feels right for you, gently roll to one side and make your way up to a seated position. Taking a moment for yourself. Thanking you for showing up. Namaste.